Right, dude. We haven't even shook hands yet.
Yeah, I know. Nice to meet you.
First interview for a very long time. We're not rushing it today. I'm going to find out who Gareth is, what he's about. We brought Brian. Sadly, Manchester, it's raining. No surprise there, is it?
Shock horror.
So I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back and we're going to find a nice little park and we're going to do interviews outside. However, why are we here, Gareth?
Would it be that word Forrest Bank by any chance?
Forrest Bank, private prison.
That's the one.
And you contacted me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that you want to get quite a lot off your chest.
Just a bit, yeah.
Right, we're going to start with some basic questions.
Yeah.
Find out who Gareth is, what he's about. I was hoping you were going to be like 5'2", slim. You know, not the classic screw prison officer like me. 6 foot, bald head, 18 stone. But there we go. First of all, why did you go for that job, Gareth?
Well, having come out of the army back in 2013,
Respect.
you know, I'd sort of done the classic go to your HGV driving jobs and that.
Yep.
And I was at the time I was getting a little bit fed up of being up and down the country, not seeing home, and I fancied a change.
Family man.
Yeah, I've got
kids.
Yeah, I've got wife, got 3 kids.
Okay.
Got one wife with my first. Sorry, 1 kid with my first wife and two step kids with my second.
Yep.
And a cat. And fancy a change, you know, like a different challenge, something that's gonna get the brain cells working a bit.
Sorry, I'm smiling.
I know. I didn't realise what of a challenge I was letting myself in for.
Okay.
So, you know, obviously Sodexo were advertising.
What pros? They were advertising at Forest Bank, yeah?
Yeah, they were advertising pretty much across all their prisons. They were advertising. So I thought, right, you know, send the application, see what comes of it.
Yep.
And you know, got the old, you know, would you like to come in for the assessment evening?
Explain what the assessment involves.
It was basically a comprehension, so, you know, read a story, or I think it was an advert actually, then answer questions on it.
Okay.
And then some very simple maths questions. And I mean...
Did you have an interview?
Yeah, they did the assessment first, and believe it or not, they binned off, I think it was 6 people from the assessment.
Really?
So there was about 30 odd in the room, 5 got binned off, and they invited us in for interviews. You know, what day can you do? So I had a day off work, went in for the interview, and it was quite straightforward, really. It was like, you know, these are some phrases, saying, do you think that's like you, not like you? So I'm going to, you know, just circling.
What, like? Are you 6 foot, bald head, look like a typical prison officer?
Do you get angry? Yes, no. Well, I'm like thinking, well, everyone gets angry eventually.
Of course you do.
How do you handle stressful situations? Well, try not to get stressed is the answer. And it was sort of like a, you know, from that. And then next day I got a call back, yeah, you know, we're happy to take you on.
What about fitness? Any sort of fitness test?
No, there was no fitness training.
Did you do a fitness test?
We did an assessment 3 days in to the actual course starting, which was the old bleep test.
Okay, you did a bleep test. Did they take your blood pressure?
Nope.
Nothing like that?
No medical.
Ask you whether they got a history of mental health or anything?
They asked you, and I think most people tick no. I mean, you could turn around and say, I think you could have lied through your teeth and got the job. It was quite scarily easy to get the job, I thought. Okay,
so I'll tell you could probably guess this. So, obviously, it's over 20 years since I worked there.
Yeah.
Then, I needed my O-level certificates. Without them, I wouldn't have even got past the door. So, bear in mind, I've been left school over 25 years. Blood pressure and everything like that. When I turned up at a hotel, there's loads of people in the foyer.
Yeah.
They were all would-be prison officers with high blood pressure, having a drink of water and sitting down to see whether the blood pressure come down.
Yeah.
Fitness test, as well as the bleep test, was quite comprehensive.
There was a lot of those who've been around, I'll name drop some, like Eddie Erner, for instance. He'd been around since the jail had opened, and Howard Hampson, people like that, who were saying, like, you know, the training used to be a lot more focused on, are you fit? Have you got the right skills? Personally, I think at the minute, and this is no disrespect to like to Dom and Mike who do the training, it's get as many bums on seats as possible. And what was really, really quite scary was I was looking at some of the people, as I end up in the gatehouse eventually, and I'm looking at the course coming in thinking, I'm going to have to work with you. And some of the.
There you go, kid.
You were looking at some of those coming in, and some of them couldn't speak English, or very, very minimal English. And I noticed it straight when we got, and I don't want to knock anyone from another country who comes in who wants to work, fine, absolutely great. Red Lad from Africa came onto my wing, and he caused more problems than he solved, because his mentality was, I've got a uniform on, I'm a prison officer, you must respect me. And I tried pointing out to him.
So there's culture differences.
Yes, cultural differences.
I would think working in any UK prison, basically someone needs to have a good understanding of the language and be able to speak the language and
understand the culture
and write the language.
And my problem with him was, his mentality was, I wear this uniform, I'm a prison officer, you must respect me. And I pointed out to him, a lot of these people don't respect the police, they don't respect courts.
Correct.
Where do you sit in their order of hierarchy? Probably very near the bottom, if not the bottom.
Yep.
And he was causing more problems than he solved. In the end, finally, they got rid of him after, I think there were so many complaints coming in, not just from staff but from cons, that the jail had to finally do something to get rid.
Yeah, it is a problem. It's a massive problem across prison estate, including public sector prisons. Right, quick one. On your course, how many were on your course?
We started with 25 and we finished with, I think it was 19 altogether.
How many of them were lasses?
I'd say 50%.
50%. So we've got a male jail. 50% of the people on the course are lasses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think in a male jail, predominantly, the vast majority of people working in it, prison officers, should be men?
Yes, I think 65 to 70% should be male. It should be male.
I would say higher than that, me. I'd say 75, 80%.
I do think there's definitely a rot, and some of the girls I work with were absolutely outstanding. And
are you talking about stunning, or are you talking
in both? Well, I mean, one of the girls I worked with on the wing I worked at in the jail.
Yeah.
She was like me. I used to call me work wife because we bounced off each other brilliantly.
Yeah, no, that's good.
And I knew full well if it kicked off, she had my back and I had hers.
Yep.
And she was absolutely brilliant to work with. Some of them, well, one of them gave.
We're going to leave that, and we're going to leave that, and we're going to come back on that.
Yeah, we'll come back on that one.
Before you actually got into the jail, did you lose any people from your course?
Yes, we lost one by the end of week 1. She got sacked off for not turning up.
Okay, and what I want to ask is, how long you actually spent in the jail before you decided that it was time to leave?
I was altogether on the wings 15 months altogether.
15 months. You come from a military background,
yeah.
So you've travelled a bit. You know, you are a worldly person. I would imagine you can communicate.
Yeah.
You've got some life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Why, after that, what people would consider a short period of time, did you decide you need to leave?
Number of factors, really. Part of it was my own stupidity doing something I shouldn't have done, which was an illegal use of force, which got me landed in the gatehouse.
Explain what a use of force is briefly to somebody.
Any kind of altercation between two prisoners or a prisoner or a member of staff where you have to put hands on a prisoner is a use of force.
Which involves you filling in paperwork.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork, and I didn't do the paperwork properly, and that then triggered an investigation and got me in the clarty, as they say.
Yeah, I was investigated when I was there.
So there was that, and it was the fact that constantly we just did not have enough staff to run the jail safely.
However, you make things work, don't you?
Yeah, I always used to say the jail floor by the seat of its pants every day.
So, besides your wing staff, have they gone back to 2 on a wing pretty much?
It's sort of 3 and 2, so ideally it's 5 on a wing.
So
3 with the wing that's out and 2 with the wing that's locked down.
Okay. And general duties or spare staff who are going to attend if there's a kick-off and an alarm bell?
Yeah.
How many?
You sometimes could be lucky enough 6, you sometimes might be unlucky enough 2.
Correct. And in general, how often did it kick off?
Daily.
And how many people would you get if you press an alarm bell on your wing turning up? You
usually get a pretty decent turnout. You could get 8 or 9, 10, sometimes if it got really bad, I remember one week kicked off just before Christmas, and we had an all out, and I remember the Oscar at the time saying, "Get every spare fucker in the jail up here now."
Oscar one,
yeah,
is sort of the in uniform. They're the shift leader for the jail. There's usually a duty governor on, but the Oscar one's in uniform.
Yeah. Oscar makes that jail work. Without Oscar, that jail wouldn't function. And when they decided they were going to do away with Oscars, that was another reason. I thought, you're getting rid of the most experienced members of staff who pretty much keep that jail running.
Yeah.
Because then I liken Oscar's job to, you remember them vases with the holes where the water comes out?
Yeah.
And you're trying to plug the holes and there's a new one appearing.
Yeah.
That's Oscar's job.
When you said they did away with the Oscar ones, what do you mean?
They were talking of disbanding the Oscar altogether.
Okay.
And they were going to have red badges run the jail.
Red badges, senior officers. So hierarchy again in public sector prison, you have prison officer. It's exactly the same. A red badge is a senior officer, 1 pip in uniform on a wing or doing other duties. Then you move over to governors in private sector jail, whereas public sector had another layer. They were principal officers, 2 pips in uniform, or prison governors. CMs, they changed. They took principal officers from uniform into suits. Same people, same job, so it's just slightly different. However, did you ever fear for your life? Twice. So we'll not talk about it yet because we're getting introduction. Incidentally, if anybody wants to ask Gareth any questions, you know, maybe half a dozen decent questions, I'm going to be asking my own questions from this little chat we're having now, and then we're going to come back, like I say, we're going to find somewhere nice, sit out in a park, bring Brian.
Without the weather.
Okay, so the first time you feared for your life, did you go home and think, right, that's me done?
I went home and had to think about it. I had to have a think and think, is this worth the amount of money they're paying me for?
So what are you on, salary-wise?
Without overtime, I was at the time on 29 grand a year.
So that has gone up significantly.
Yeah, it's gone up to about 31, 32 now.
So could I ask you, so that's as a prison officer, that's more than I thought, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Overtime rate is paid at a good rate.
It was time and this is another reason why people start leaving. They started paying double time on a Sunday to do overtime. So bed watching on Sunday was a cracking way to make overtime. Marie Durning in her wisdom dropped it to time and a half on a Sunday, and people started going, no, I'm not doing it. And the usual people who would volunteer, there was a lot of people out there who would volunteer to do overtime on weekends, stop volunteering.
Did you do a lot of overtime?
I did a heck of a lot of overtime.
Do you think you fall into a poverty trap? 31 grand.
Yeah.
Overtime, you can work as much as you want.
Yeah.
You can go from 31 up to 40 grand, even 50 grand a year.
Yeah, I mean, you end up getting that point where you start saying yes and details just immediately start ringing you all the time because they know you're the...
Detail are the people who basically look at the hours and fill the gaps and get in touch with people.
Yeah, even when you're on leave as well. They phoned me once I was on holiday and they're like, can you come do a bed watch? I went, I'm a job, I'm not even in the country.
If I got your missus in this car now and you weren't here, and I asked her whether she wanted to do the job initially, what do you think she'd say?
She said at first, she thought, yeah, it'd be good, you know, it'd be a good experience for you. If she asked me now, she'd say, you go back in that jail, I'll divorce you.
Do you think your missus and your kids noticed the job you were doing?
It was them that told me to leave. They said to me, you know, Dad, you're becoming a not nice person to live with. Can you start taking work home with you?
How old are the kids?
Now, my kids are 15 and 13. When I left, they were 13 and 11. And, you know, they said, like, you know, you've stopped smiling, Dad. You're not a nice person to be around.
Did you think that you were going home and you weren't taking it with you?
I thought it was fine at first, but it was when they basically, and also other people that knew me said, you're not a nice person to be around. You're stressed. You're fed up. You know, you're
if I'm smiling, I'm not smiling.
Yeah.
I'm just, you know.
Yeah. The trouble with the jail was because it was so short-staffed, and because the people that were getting in weren't staying, you were constantly back to that cycle of it was the same reliable people doing it time and again, time and again, time and again. It's like just being ground down Eventually, there's nothing left to
right, okay, I'm going to say, right, you're a decent officer. You get recognised as a decent officer. You've got a bit of presence. You've got some life experience. You can talk to people. So you come in, overtime shift. You might have got a bit of a cushy number. However, that changes. Oscar 1 redetails you and you're on a wing, because the wing's the hardest job.
Yeah.
So yourself, you're not doing any easy jobs.
No.
You're going to be on a wing all the time, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like I used to be.
Yeah, and you find yourself on that where you know a certain wing is in trouble because it hasn't got staff in and it's got quite a lot of difficult prisoners on that wing. You know you're in for a rough shift.
How many times have you gone on shift and you've been on your own? There's been somebody else there, but they might be new, they might be terrified, spend all day in the office.
Or in the toilet.
Or in the toilet. Regular?
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, yeah, where you end up on a wing and it's not your wing and prisoners are coming in, boss, do you know where this is, boss, do you know? And I'm like, you have to go, look lads, I don't know, it's my wing, I'm sorry, I'll find out, I'll do the best I can for you. And you're hopefully, if there are like a few cleaners that you know, they could get them on side and they'd be a bit of a buffer between you and the cons.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of your team, isn't it? And if you can get a couple of lads who are handy and will do a job as well, then you look at them.
I remember on one wing I was on where the number 1 had been shipped out, or transferred if you like.
Number 1 cleaner?
The number 1 cleaner had been shipped out and it created a power vacuum. Because he had a bit of something about him.
Yep.
And he was quite notorious around Manchester. People behaved.
Yep.
He would, any little problems, he'd deal with it. He'd have a little word in someone's ear. Or, you know, I didn't see that, you know.
Yeah.
And when he left, it created a power vacuum and people scrambling to be number 1 cleaner. And it was horrendous because no one wanted to listen. You were like trying to call bang up and you might as well been, it was like magically everyone went deaf. You try and say, come on lads, lock up time. Yeah, 5 minutes. No, now, you know, and then you end up having to call a response because
right. Just give people. I absolutely know.
Yeah.
You know, you've transported me back in time now. It is horrendous sometimes, isn't it? You know, you'll have stood on a landing now. Like I say, it's time to bang up. You're calling bang up. Nobody's listening. You've got no support. You know, what exactly do you do? Me,
you start picking them off one by one. You start picking them off, ones who will bang up, get them bang up.
What I used to do, you try, don't you? Because some people will go behind the doors. Some people have got whatever they need. Yeah, so you know what I'm saying? So they'll go behind the door.
And then you're picking up the one, then you're left with the hardcore who will drag it out to the end.
Yeah.
And eventually the cleaners get fed up and say, come on, lads, it's time to bang up. And I mean, like, D-Wing was easy to bang up with all the VPs that just bang up themselves almost.
VPs, vulnerable prisons, sex cases and the like I said, that's an easy population to manage, isn't it?
Easier. They're more manipulative. They find other ways to get what they want.
How did you find working on there, you know, having children and that?
I just used to blank it out. I find what they've done to the back of your mind and treat them the same as you would anyone else.
You don't want to know what they've done.
I try to actually say to people, I don't want to know what you're in for. I treat you as, I say to all the cons, and so what, do you treat the nonsense different to me? And I say, no, I treat you all the same. Because you're all in here for a crime. Or you're in here on suspicion of a crime. You know,
treat people fair, give them what they're entitled to, and that's it.
And that's it. I say to them, you know, you're entitled to 3 meals a day, you're entitled to a warm cell that functions, you know, the lights work, the toilet works, the sink's not blocked.
How was the jail regarding cleanliness?
Mixed bag. Some wings were cleaner than others. Like, for instance, actually D-Wing was very clean. It was actually...
Because it's a VP wing.
It was they were the cleaners on the wing.
What was the induction wing?
It was E-Wing was the...
Well, E-Wing used to be the induction wing.
It still is.
It used to be mint because they used to get... The lads that come in, they get the best cleaners, they get the pick of them. And it was, people were banged up a lot because it was the induction wing, so it was mint.
E1, at one point, they had to actually move all the VPs, because they got that many VPs, they had to move the VPs off E-Wing. I think they put them on G-Wing. So they spent the whole day moving prisoners around the jail so they could, because they hadn't got enough space on E-Wing to get people in through the courts.
So, you know, Forrest Bank, when I started, there was no VP wing.
No.
They had a few down the seg. A few had their own stories masquerading on wings.
Yeah, there were a few of them.
And a few in healthcare.
There are a few of them, but then obviously people get found out on the red button.
Right, so I want to ask you, without talking names at this point, the management structure, did you feel as a prison officer you were supported?
No.
Do you think a prison should be run as a business, or that is there's going to be some conflict there?
The trouble with private prisons, and you'll probably find this yourself, it's run to make money. It's not run... Forrest Bank is a human sausage factory. They get them in, get through the courts, churn them out the other end. There is nothing there for any... Well, there is, but it's not to a sufficient standard for anyone who is there any length of time. So there is industries, there is education, and there is a chapel and that. But because people are passing through, it doesn't give them sufficient time to, get a job or get into education, and especially for like some VPs and that, because some of the teachers weren't willing to come onto D-Wing to actually teach them, because we actually had classrooms on D-Wing, but very rarely were people willing to come in and actually do courses.
So if you were going to rate Forrest Bank, just from your experience, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, obviously you've only worked there, but how dangerous do you think it is for people living there?
8.5.
8.5, that high, and for people working there?
6.5.
6.5.
The good thing is now they have started to actually listen and give them proper PPE. They've started getting buttons now for the staff, and I do believe Parva's coming in at some point. Okay,
so I'm going to give you a scenario. I'll tell you my thoughts on it and you can tell me mine. So when I was at Strangeways, obviously we got a baton, extendable metal baton. The times I used that were very rare, and most incidents spontaneous. You're just scrapping and wrestling with people. Baton don't come into it.
Don't need it.
Parva, again, if you're having to give people stab vests, batons, Parva, for me, you're just masking over the problem, which is we're going back to treating people like animals. There's not enough staff anywhere. There's no sort of regime in prisons.
One of my biggest problems, I think, with the recruitment side is recruiting people who are far too young, who have, like I say, no life experience. They should. My personal feeling, if I was in charge of recruitment, I'd be saying you'd be at least 25 and had another job.
Yeah, we'll go with 25. That's what I'm saying now.
Another job, and I will be looking at the military, maybe even people who've been in the police, even people who worked in sales, because you know how to talk to people.
Good, right, okay. So, for me, life experiences, being able to communicate. Yeah. I would keep anyone who's under 25 now, however, raise the age.
Yeah.
I would, a lot of people think it's controversial, I don't. I'd say, right, male jails, minimum 75% male staff. So, Forrest Bank now, what percentage of staff would you say were males?
I'd probably say 45 to 48%.
Less than 50% male staff. So again, I'd keep it as it is. However, all future courses will be male only.
Yeah.
Until you got a balance.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm not bothered. I've worked with some fantastic lasses. You have to say that, don't you?
Oh yeah, some of them are brilliant. Absolutely
I have.
Brilliant.
However, when push comes to shove, it's a combat sport, being a prison officer, and nobody is going to be intimidated or threatened. Well, not by most male staff, certainly, but, they don't have a females do not have a presence. They're not going to maintain any sort of discipline.
I mean, like I say, there's a good percentage of the girls I work with in there were absolutely outstanding prison officers who, like I say, know how to talk to people and could hold their own in a fight as well. Some of them were worse than useless. I'm going
to ask you this one again. It's happened at Strangeways when I was at Forrest Bank, right? It was quite disciplined, as in uniform. It had to be uniform.
Yeah.
Hair tied up.
Yeah.
Basic makeup. I'm talking about the girls, not the boys now.
Yeah.
Although,
it's and
as I was leaving, even back then, you know, it was descending. Some people were turning up like they were going to a nightclub. Strangeways, which was more disciplined, an established jail, experienced staff. Again, when I left, lasses were buying really tight, stretchy pants, more makeup, you know, coming on a night shift on a wing, like they were going to a nightclub or whatever.
Well, the one bit of uniform none of the girls liked with the pants. They all said the pants were, you know, the issue ones that they gave you, the combat style pants, were too bad. A lot of them found them, they didn't fit properly. So we did keep saying to the jail, you need to look at getting some proper pants for the girls.
Pants, in case you're wondering.
Trousers.
A Lancashire thing of trousers. I say that now, and people look at you. What you doing? Going to work in your pants?
But the other thing as well is with the uniform side of life, you could never get replacement uniform unless it was blood or you've been shit up. If you've got a thing like a pen leak in your pocket, which happens, no, they won't replace it.
So I tell you, at Strangeways when I left, they were asking staff, because you end up year on year with excess
uniform
kit. You know, you might have a couple of spare coats, spare trousers, asking them to bring them in for future training courses.
I don't know what it was like in the public sector, because obviously I didn't work public, I worked private, but yeah, they were constantly, you were asking for, you know, can I get a replacement shirt? Like, particularly you might have a scrap and you crack a pen in your pocket.
Yeah.
Can I get a replacement? No, it's ink, it's not blood, it's not vomit, it's not piss and shit.
Okay, anything that were good about the job?
I do you know what, as much as we sat here saying the stuff, a lot of people I work with were brilliant people to work with, especially all the Oscars. I will say it without a doubt, all 6 of them were fantastic people to work with. You had to get used to how they...
Give me some names.
Who we have? Jez Whittington.
Oh, go on.
Howard Hampson.
No, Howard. Used to work with him in the seg.
Andy Harris.
Possibly, go on.
Yeah. There was Jill... Oh, what's the last name? I can't remember off the top of my head. Jill Francis.
I know Jill Francis. I worked with her in the seg.
You got to leave Daz France.
Oh, Daz Francis as well.
And Dave Collins.
And I know Dave Collins. I live with Dave Collins. Bumped up with him at one bit.
So
Dave has been an Oscar for a long time.
Dave used to permanently do nights because, I mean, Dave's a cracking bloke. He's an angry man, and they used to keep him on nights for a reason.
Yeah.
But I used to say with Dave, a lot of people didn't like Dave. I love working with Dave because if you did it how he wanted it done, you got on fine.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question now. So, above the Oscar rank, was there anyone particularly liked?
Management, like Bruno Sosa was my manager, and I love
Bruno. I know Bruno is.
Bruno's a brilliant manager to work for. He had your back 100%. He was for you, not for the cons.
Go on. And any more positives, good people we'll talk about?
Good people to work with. I liked... what's her name now? Lindsay Wright. She was...
I know Lindsay Wright.
She was
so a lot of these people have done a long time.
Yeah.
They're 25 years in
job.
So
she worked in... She was head of res. She was actually my head of res.
Right.
And she actually did my disciplinary. And she gave me a fair hearing, and I can't fault her for it, you know.
Okay.
And also, if you had a problem and your wing manager couldn't fix it, you could go to Lindsay, she would give you an answer. It might be the one you want, but she'd give you an answer.
Well, it's like prisoners, that, innit? If you go back to them with an answer, might not be the one they want, however, they respect the fact that you've given them an answer. Okay, we'll not delve into the dodgy side of management for now.
Yeah, a few of them.
Okay, I've got an idea where you're coming from now. Yeah. So
they're the sort of people I like working with. Stu Foster was my manager in the end as well.
I don't think I know.
It's Stu Foster. He'd been around a while. Obviously got up to wing manager. He was E-wing's manager, and then him and Bruno swapped. Bruno went to E-wing and he went to D-wing. I like Foz, he's a nice bloke, but fucking lazy as, absolutely lazy. Lazy in the management side of things, but nice bloke.
Right, Gareth. Like I said, guys, any questions for Gareth? I've got an idea where he's coming from. Before we go down the rabbit hole, because I want to be outside, nice, let him tell his story, get it all off his chest, because a lot of it's about that. Give people time to speak. Questions in the comments. I'm going to compile my own, and we'll come back. And like I said, we'll go down that rabbit hole, because not for the sake of going down it. It is a very dark place, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can be frightening. a lot of time you can feel really on your own.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very, very testing job.
It is, and I don't want to ever knock anyone who does the job, because even if you do it and it isn't for you, at least you've tried it. You know.
Parting shot. We are coming back, like I said to Gareth. Parting shot. So, since I left the prison service, books and all that,
yeah,
loads of people have contacted me. I've never put anyone off joining the job, private or public. I've always said, best advice: be yourself, be humble.
Don't be afraid to say no.
Don't be afraid to say no.
The best advice I got in the job actually came from a con.
Which was?
Don't make a promise you can't keep.
Correct.
Don't take a backward step, and never show fear.
That backward step and never showing fear, they are difficult then.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some time we've all shown fear, not gone backwards, but it's a difficult gig. Gareth, on this miserable Greater Manchester
afternoon,
shitty rainy day. Brian, anything to say? We're going out second. No? Questions in the comments. We're coming back. We're going to do Gareth's full story. We're going to go down a rabbit hole, the darkness and everything else. Mate, it's lovely to meet you.
Too.
Thanks for coming. That's what we're saying here. And I'll see you there.
See you later.